Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us tonight. We are the Walton Hills Citizens League. My name is Milan Verzik. I'm going to shortly introduce to you our Vice President, Jennifer Allen, who's also a councilperson in Walton Hills. And then after a little bit of our shtick, we're going to introduce you to Keith Davey, who is the representative that's going to be addressing you tonight from the Citizens for Property Tax Reform. So, a couple of housekeeping things. Coffee and water and cookies, some light refreshments in the back. Please help yourself. Be careful of coffee spills so you don't slip. I've tried to clean up a little bit already. If you take water, don't throw the empty in the trash. There's a blue recycle bin over here near the stairs where we'll collect that and recycle it. Connie Flato is over here, little lady in the white sweater. She is going to act tonight as our cashier, and if you feel at all like donating to Citizens League to help us defray costs or hosting something like this and just putting everything together for you, be generous and see Connie. Right now I'm going to bring up Jennifer Allen, and she's going to tell you about how we first encountered the Citizens for Property Tax Reform. Thank you.
Everybody, my name is Jennifer Allen. I was scrolling through the internet, something I'm not very fond of. I don't like doing emails and stuff, but I do it. And I came across this little blurb about Citizens for Property Tax Reform. And I'm like, property tax? We in Bedford City School District just got hit with that 9.9 mil bond for 36 years. So I dug into it. And I dug into it, and I kept trying to look them up. And I called Milan at work and said, they're having a meeting tomorrow at St. Monica's in Garfield. We have to go. If you don't go with me, I'm going. He said, I will meet you there. So we went. We heard their presentation about what they were doing. They explained to us, and I don't know that Keith's going to go through a lot of that, but how so many other states, some states don't even have property taxes. And they explained that night, which really hit me, if you buy your house, you pay your house off, you're living there for another 30 years, you want to give your house to your kids, they can't afford the property taxes, who gets your house?
State.
So do you ever actually own your house?
No.
And I put my son through private school, all 12 years of it, in college now, and I'm stuck in my son's going to have to finish paying off this bond if he stays in Walton Hills. So I got riled up. We went to the meeting. These people were grassroots, bipartisan. We're reaching both sides of the aisle. We want everyone to come together. And by God, if anyone's going to do it, we are going to do it, because we have to stand up and say loud and say it together. We're not putting up with it anymore. And that's what it comes down to. So with that, I'm going to pass this off to Mr. Keith Davey. Thank you very much.
Actually, Bill Holman.
Bill Holman, I'm sorry, I was giving the wrong name.
I get to start this off, and Keith Davey will be following after me. So I hope I, get up to everyone's expectations here. So yes, I'm a board member of Citizens for Property Tax Reform. I got involved in this back last year for the same reason that probably all of you are here for tonight. We're very frustrated and very disturbed that our elected officials have not taken us into consideration with these tax increases on our homes. Many of you I can see here are seniors tonight. We've had many seniors that have reached out to us, and they are in dire straits. They have come to us, and we've had them coming to us in tears saying, what can I do? Can you help us? This is what opened my eyes to it. This is what got our group really going. Because we see people suffering, and it shouldn't be that way. You know, they've had years and years to come up with a better system, and they have looked the other way. We have talked to multiple state reps, some senators. We have proposed multiple ideas, which is originally where our group came from, okay, it was for tax reform. We wanted to reform it. We wanted to put a better program in place to make this more feasible so it's easier on people. So we proposed these ideas. We had meetings with them. We spoke to them. And you know what they said? Sorry, we can't do that. To everything. Everything from telling them, say, hey, what about 65 and over? You don't have to pay you don't have to pay taxes anymore in your home. That was one idea we proposed. They said, sorry, we can't do it. Okay? We proposed once you buy your home, it stays locked in at the tax rate that it is when you buy it. Sorry, we can't do that. Okay? You know, so we proposed these ideas, and all they can do is sit there and just look at us and say, no, we can't do it. So what gets me really frustrated is while they're saying that they cannot help anybody in this room, in 2 weeks, they have no problem figuring out a way to round up $600 million to help the Haslams to build another stadium. And then, another thing I'd like to bring up is a lot of people don't think about it this way, but do you know that our county and our state already gives and eliminates property taxes for people already in homes and companies? And tax abatements. And tips. A lot of people don't know that right now in the state of Ohio, we found this out back in January of this year, that the current amount of money that is being washed out and forgiven in property taxes, and this is for residential and commercial, is totaling over $69 billion. But yet, that's all right. All of us, we got to keep paying, don't we? There's something seriously wrong with this system, and that's what we're here for today. We've tried reaching out to these people. They ignore us. They say, sorry, we can't help you. We can't help seniors. You know, now mind you, they had proposed some House bills last year. You want to know where they sat? They sat in a corner and collected dust. Nothing was approved, and here we are in the next year, and a few of them had made some more, I will say, weak promises that they're going to do something. Okay? Now, one of them, for example, was to increase the Homestead Act. Okay? Well, that's going to help seniors, right? No, not really. Because the raise that they wanted to raise that Homestead Act doesn't cover your tax increases and your reevaluations. So where's that helping you? It's like, here, I'm gonna cut a finger off, but you know, I'll let you keep your other 4, so don't worry about it. I mean, this is the kind of mentality we're dealing with here. So this is why we're here today. We're getting signatures, and we decided to go all in because you know what? If they're not gonna listen to us, well, then it's time we get their attention, right? So we're gonna get this put on the ballot, and then we're gonna force them. Just like all of us, every week when we pay our bills, we have to make sure we have enough money here to cover it, but we do it responsibly. Well, it's time our elected officials start doing the same thing. Now, I know there's some people here tonight that probably didn't have time to sign our petition outside, so it will be there afterwards for you to go out and sign. And we also want to say, if anybody here wants to volunteer to help get signatures at some of our events, or just getting signatures in their neighborhoods, please talk to Beth afterwards, okay? Because if we can get everybody to just get a sheet filled out in every one of their neighborhoods, just in this room alone, I'm sure we could round up a couple thousand with no problem, just right here, okay? You know, you tell your neighbors, you tell your friends in other communities. We need to start organizing. We already have people throughout the state. I even had a woman from the state of Kentucky call me the other day because she saw what we were doing. And even another one that blows my mind is one of our news articles made its way to San Francisco. So don't think that our elected officials don't see what's happening. They're starting to sweat, okay? They're going to hide back there, and they're going to keep on. They're going to see how determined all of you really are to get this done. And so we're at a crucial point right now. It's really important that we stay focused and we press forward and we get everybody to participate in this so we can get things restructured so you can own your home forever.
Bill, what are the signature requirements and what's your timetable for all this to happen?
Okay, so we would like to be able to, we're shooting for July 1st to get we need 413,000 signatures, okay? But obviously we want to shoot for more than that. So our goal is going to be probably like around 600,000, all right? Pardon?
600,000?
Yeah, that's it.
I can only imagine you have that now.
But seriously, you know, that number sounds big, but I'll tell you what, the responses that we have coming in from Facebook and our website and people contacting us personally, I'll tell you what, I got a feeling this is gonna go along a lot faster than a lot of people anticipate. But we have to keep focused, that's the key here, okay? So the other thing I want to mention, like I said, it's very important that even if we can get some volunteers here tonight to help in the area, you know, where we can do some extra events through the summer, you know, especially like any community events and stuff like that, where we can really generate a lot of signatures. This would be really big for us. If you have friends that live in other counties, please tell them and inform them about what we are doing, because this is really important, okay? So thank you so much. I'm going to introduce Keith Davey now. He's the real Keith Davey. So, Keith Davey.
I'm his good-looking older brother. So thank you so much. It's a wonderful, wonderful venue. Thank you, Mike and Milan. I mean, what a beautiful, beautiful room. I love Walton Hills. It's just a beautiful community. You know, I'm not going to belabor and talk about too much. Bill's covered a lot of the high points already. But when we go out, you know, a couple of things I wanted people to keep in mind. When we started this, well, I've been working on this 6 years with not much luck from the politicians. And 2 years ago we started up, and we started out the group called SOS Save Our Seniors. Because I know it's hard to believe, but I'm a senior. And we started out as, you know, trying to get tax reform for seniors, and I mean, it just started exploding. And then Bill and Beth and Kyle and all these younger people started getting in the group, and all of a sudden it developed to be more than seniors. And then January 1st of this year, when the new tax bills came out, it really went on fire. And now we have 20-somethings, 30-somethings, 40-somethings joining our group, and they are having just as much problem as we are. So we have young people in the group. We do a radio show on Tuesday night. It's called Voice of the People. If you get a chance to listen, we got some information on it. And we had a young lady call in this Tuesday night. She's 40 years old, mother of two. You know, she's a stay-at-home mom. And she says, I just want to let you guys know this isn't just for old people. She said, my husband and I just got our escrow reevaluation for our mortgage rate, $250 more a month. She says, you know, this is affecting everybody. She lives in Medina. And she goes, we don't have that kind of money to unbudgeted. She goes, you know, my husband's gonna have to come home and do DoorDash or something. So this is affecting everybody. But a couple takeaways from tonight, just to kind of keep in mind as you're out there helping us with this. So, number one that we want to remember, and I learned this a few years ago when I went to my first county meeting, the state legislature in Columbus is the group that's really responsible for property tax. Okay, they're the ones that set the formulas, do or don't do anything. They're the group that's really responsible. It's not the county people. It's the state legislature. Number two is 60 to 75% of your county property tax goes to fund public schools. And a lot of people didn't understand that at first. When we first started this up a couple of years ago, that, well, you know, the roads, no, 60 to 75%. The remaining little bits go to townships and that type of thing. So, you know, 60 to 75% go to public schools. And you've probably heard this before. In 1997, the way we fund public schools in Ohio was challenged at the Supreme Court level, and it was voted unconstitutional in 1997, 28 years ago. Since 1997, it's gone back to court 3 more times. So 4 times, the way we fund schools in this state has been deemed unconstitutional. The last time, the Supreme Court said, don't bring this to us anymore. This is the responsibility of the state legislature. They need to fix it, and they're not. So that's the second takeaway. The third one is that, and Bill explained this, you know, at the end of 2024, you know, we've been meeting with state representatives now for 2 years. One-on-one, we go to their coffees, I had coffee with my state rep last week, you know, nice young guy, right? So we've been, like Bill said, pushing reform in several different ways for 2 years, and they don't want to have anything to do with it. At the end of 2024, you know, these are 2-year budget sessions. At the end of 2024, there was 40 bills, 40, in the House, or in the state. One, House Bill 187, which Bill referred to about increasing the homestead exemption, was in there. It was there sitting there just ready to sign. We're calling state reps on both sides of the aisle, and, you know, nothing. So the new speaker at the end of the year says, well, this is a very important issue, so we need to take the time and do it next session. Well, the budget's almost done. And in the discussions I've had with state rep, it's not going to happen, okay? So, you know, this is what's forced us to come to the point where we are. You know, we'll have talking points for you. There are other ways to fund schools, township fire department, and that type of thing, and we'll get more into that. But essentially, you know, I did an interview on NPR yesterday with a state rep and a professor from the University of Cincinnati. And the first question that they asked, you know, a lot of people I said here, well, how do we make up the funding? And now after 2 years, I said, you know what, that's not my problem. That's your problem. That's what we hire you to do. You need to do it. Instead of like one of the guys up in Parma that was so proud after 3 years of working on a House bill, he was so excited because he finally passed a bill making the walleye the state fish of Ohio. This is the truth. 3 years he worked on this. But they can't give us nothing, okay? So this is why where we're at. So again, you know, please, we need your help. This is a heavy lift. Now our goal is, and when you're out, just so you know in the back of your mind, our goal, we're going full bore in 88 counties. We need 44 of 88. We already are in 50 plus counties to get on the ballot. Get the signatures. We're going to do our best to get it on the November ballot. If we can't, if we don't make the July 1st deadline, your signatures will carry over. So we're going to carry this over then to the May election, but we're not going to give this up, folks. We're not giving up, and this is what they expect us to do. We're not giving up. So please, help us with petitions, help us at signings. We need volunteers desperately. We don't have big money like a lot of the groups, so we're just kind of funding it ourselves, making our copies, paying our gas rate. We just need you to do that. Like Bill said, help out in your neighborhood, do whatever you can. And I believe with a grassroots effort like this, we can do this. So please, thank you so much. We're going to have Beth just give you a quick rundown now on how to get signed up for circulators and so on and so forth. And then we'll do some question and answers after that. Thank you so much.
Okay, hi. My voice has already gone from all the phone calls today and last night. I'm Beth Blackmar. Listen, we're trying to get as many people as we can involved. If you're interested in getting involved in the movement and you want to circulate petitions, listen, go on reformpropertytax.com. Sign in. If you haven't already done that, sign in. Put your name, put your email address. Within a couple days, now we're backed up a little bit, but within a couple days you'll get a welcome email. When you get that welcome email, respond to it, okay? And let us know that you want to circulate petitions or you want to volunteer or whatever it is you want to do and want to contribute or not. You know, we're happy to have you sign the petition. We're thrilled with that. I think that's it, right? That's really all we need. That's all you need to know. It's warm in here, so I'm not going to keep you. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, who can sign the petition? Do you have to be a registered voter?
Registered voter. That's it. If you're a registered voter, you can sign this petition. Registered voter in the state of Ohio can sign this petition.
Renter or homeowner, you don't have to own.
You don't have to own your, you know, it doesn't matter. Renters, that's another thing. People don't talk about this much. But renters have a stake in this. Because every time the owner's property tax goes up, their rent goes up, okay? They have a stake, okay? And here's the other thing. Escrow statements are coming around right now. I don't know, a lot of people didn't pay any attention to their revaluations that came out. They just pitched it, like I almost did. They just pitched it in the recycle, okay? So, and now the escrow statements are coming around, they're saying you're short because we paid your property tax bill, we don't have enough money. You either fund that or your mortgage is going up every month. So I'm starting to get calls from young people going, where can I sign? We got a problem. You know, my taxes just went up. I didn't realize it. The other thing is, you know, if you take nothing else out of here, we cannot keep pushing people out of their homes for property tax. We just cannot do it. We cannot have these senior citizens being pushed out into the street because they can't pay the property taxes. Very often they own their home, and the property tax now, if you divide it up by 12, is more than their original mortgage was on their home. Now, how in the world? You know, it just doesn't make good sense. And like Keith was saying, and I'm sorry I didn't hear anybody else speaking, and I only heard part of that, but they've had every opportunity to do something about this in the Ohio legislature, and that's where this begins. So that's who needs to change this. So, you know, help us out, get active, tell your friends, sign in at the website and get our emails. It tells you where we're having events. If you want to volunteer, again, if you want to be a circulator, you'll get an email from me. I'm replying to everybody, just be patient, please. Okay? That's all I think. I can't think of anything else. All right. Okay, thanks.
Thank you, big show of appreciation to Bill, and Beth, and Keith. One second, I'm gonna wrap up the meeting part, and then I'm gonna turn it over, and they can do questions and answers as long as they can stay, okay? So, I'm youngish, and guess what? I'm broke, and the system is broken, and the system can be fixed by you guys. Because utilities are costing more, and gas is costing more, and groceries are costing more, but my annual increase doesn't keep track with any of that. So I'm in the hole, I'm broke, and the system is broken, and now it's gonna get fixed. And how they do it, like you said, we don't care how they do it. It's their job to figure it out, okay? Last thing that I'm gonna say is thank you all for coming. This is the largest crowd I've seen in this space in a long, long time. Thank you for those who took the time to RSVP. Those who walked in, you guys are the heroes because you filled the room, so thank you for that. There's some light refreshments remaining in the back. If you take a water, we got a blue bin for recycling. Again, this is Walton Hill Citizens League. Jennifer Allen is the vice president, and Connie Flato is over here shaking the moneymaker. She's collected some donations for us just to help us with some costs. And we're a volunteer group. If you're interested in helping put more programming on like this or similar things or different things, we'd love to hear your ideas and get you involved. I'm going to sign off and say thank you.
Everyone, I would just like to say, when I went to that meeting, I said we have got to get them into Walton Hills because this affects all of us. And it might have been my idea and me pushing, but Milan did the heavy lifting for me. So please, everybody, give him a big round of applause.
Thank you. And this,
I would also like to say I am volunteering you and I as the point person in Walton Hills.
All right.
and as has been said before tonight, this spans generations. It's not just a boomer problem. It's not just a Gen Z problem. It's a problem that's going to perpetuate until they take the time to fix it. So thank you on behalf of Citizens League for coming. I appreciate it. I'm going to turn the mic back over to either Kyle or Bill or Keith or Beth. And again, if you're interested in signing the petition tonight, see the folks outside. But thank you all for coming. And if you did sign in, great. If you did not sign in at the table at the top of the stairs, catch us before you leave just so we can send you a note and say thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mark.
Hi, everybody. I'm Kyle Kutz. I'm on the steering committee. And just to dovetail with a couple things of what Bill and I think Keith touched on a little bit too, along with the abatements, do you know that at that $69 billion mark, if they just took half of that, they could pay for every school district in the state of Ohio? $69 billion. So there's a lot of people that aren't paying property tax, and then who's making up for it? And I think Bill might have said that, it's us. The other thing, I'm not sure if you mentioned it or not, Bill, it's called a TIF. Do you know what a TIF is? Tax increment financing, which, by the way, the Browns owner wants for both his projects. And a TIF can go out 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years, long after I'm gone. That's ridiculous. Do you know, and this is on the Cuyahoga County website, do you know the taxes foregone from TIFs in just Cuyahoga County? Almost $88 million taxes foregone, meaning not going to the schools, not going to the libraries, not going to the metro parks, all the things we enjoy about our area. I love this area, and I want to stay here. And of course, we're hearing from people that they just may not be able to afford it, they're going to move out. I don't want to. I have a lot of family here, and that's why we're fighting. We're fighting for everybody. Like Keith said, we're fighting for every demographic because it does affect everybody. But there's something wrong when you have $88 million that are taxes foregone in our county and over $69 billion across the state of Ohio abatements. That's a problem. And I don't mind giving an incentive to somebody for something to bring them in, but most of them don't need it. And by the way, I'm a sports person, I'm an athlete and a coach, and I can tell you this right now, these professional sports owners don't need money. I can tell you that. Do you know that the Browns owner paid more for a part ownership of the Milwaukee Bucks basketball team than he did for the entire cost of this new proposed stadium? So anyhow, I didn't mean to digress, but I just, I always tell people, and people ask us all the time, where are we going to get the money for this or that? And I tell people, there's money out there. And the problem is, it's gotten worse. I've been in my home for 26 years. I live in North Homestead. And I'll have paid next year, I'll have paid more in property taxes than I bought my house for. That's a problem. And the problem is, and I don't know if Bill said this too, anybody know what unrealized gains is? Have you heard about that? Did you talk about that, Bill?
No, I don't.
Unrealized gains is like what, if you make money on your IRA or 401k or stocks, you don't pay on it until you sell it. Well, I don't plan to sell my house, so go ahead and tax me at the end, but not every year and increasingly higher every year to the point where it's just crazy. And this whole reappraisal process, and by the way, if you didn't have property taxes, you wouldn't have all this bureaucracy around the state of Ohio doing all this stuff with appraisals, and people are telling me that they're spending $400, $500, $600 to get an appraiser to come out to see if they can fight their taxes to lower the taxes. That's ridiculous. That should never ever happen for a homeowner. And so, like he said, you own your home after a certain amount of time and you still owe money. And by the way, I don't know if Keith said this, we're not for defunding anybody. We love our public schools. We love our metro parks, our libraries, our smooth roads, nice smooth road out here. Except for, what is it, Oakleaf? I don't know what the heck they're doing to that thing. I had to take a detour coming down. But I don't mind paying my fair share like everybody else, but it's just gotten to the point where it's beyond over the line. That's it. And the last thing I'll say before we take some Q&A, I think Keith going to come back? I think he's taking a coffee and cookie break. But the thing that we want you to do is to continue. Somebody asked us this last night at our Rocky River meeting, and it was overwhelming. Like tonight, this is by a great crowd. And they said, well, should we still call our state senators and state reps to complain to them? Answer, absolutely yes. Because they need to hear us. And, the frustration we've experienced from a lot of people, all age groups, like Keith said, the 20s, 30s, 40s, all the way up to our age and beyond. And we've been just as frustrated, and that's why we are where we are. But if they're not answering our calls, I talked to an aide one time about this whole situation, I don't know, 3 months ago. I said, please have that senator call me back. He never called me back. Not even an email. And they used to at the beginning. About, I would say, mid-September, maybe late September, some of them were doing that. And then all of a sudden now, like Keith said, once January hit, and maybe they were flooded with calls initially, people being upset saying, how in the world did my taxes go up, my property taxes go up this much, so I'm just not gonna call it all, and they hide. We just found out, I won't say who it was, but somebody who had coffee shop, I don't know, do you go to your senator or your House reps, coffee shop talks? So they haven't posted on their website. We found out today the one who's responsible for a lot of the things that are happening that is proposing down at the State House, which are just, they're half measures. It doesn't do anything for the reappraisals or the unrealized gains or any protection from a senior citizen being evicted, especially if they own their home. And he canceled his coffee shop talk tonight. It was scheduled for tonight, not here, but where he lives, and for next month. Coincidence? Remember what P said? We're trying to get the 600,000 signatures by July 1st. So I don't know if you can call that coincidence or not, but you know, bottom line is call your. And by the way, you can just do it by going to ohiohouse.gov or ohiosenate.gov. And all you have to do is punch in your address and they'll let you know who it is. But yes, please call them, email them, go to their coffee shops, talks, whatever you can, and do it repeatedly and let them know. It's like, I can't remember who said this, either Keith or Bill, that they're starting to pay attention. And as I was talking to some folks outside before, yeah, all of a sudden now they're really concerned. We told them, listen, pal, it's too late. We've already had a lot of people tell us, like Bill said, that, you know, we got a report from, it was a video, I think, done of grandma down in Cincinnati. She's selling her furniture to pay off her property taxes. And she doesn't want to move out of her house. You know, probably most of us don't. But you're going to be forced out because she's thinking, somebody said to her, you know, Dog the Bounty Hunter is going to come by with the sheriff's department and they're going to evict her. Really? In America? That's ridiculous. So, you know, I didn't know anything about this property tax stuff or politics stuff. I'm not a politician by any stretch of the imagination. But the more we find out, and Bill can attest to this, the more we get ticked off every day. So our motivation is a daily thing. Every time we find out something else about this multifaceted, multi-layered issue, there is just more to be ticked off about. And again, like Keith said, our legislators aren't doing anything about it.
So I want to get involved with this, but I want to tell you something. We appreciate what you guys are doing. I live in the city of Parma, and I'll tell you, it is a total mess. Our president of city council, Sean, he's down as a state representative. It's just a chain. They become councilmen, they go into city, they become state representatives. I try to get them with health issues. I talk to more of his aide than I do Sean Brennan. Oh, call the State Department of Health or the Ohio State Board of Health. It's a runaround. They don't care. But you know what? We have a Parma newspaper. When something comes up, oh, you believe you'll see the whole city council, you'll see Sean Brennan, they all got their face in that picture. Where are you when we need you?
I think
Now, well, hold on. I've been waiting patiently. So the thing is, like you were saying, they got these tax abatements. It's just like with your utility bills. The people pay them, and the people, what we're doing is paying for the people that don't pay their electric, they don't pay for their gas, they don't pay for everything else. So the people that do pay, they increase the rates on them because they know they're gonna pay. And just like with the property taxes, okay? Here's the thing, they're not paying, so what we're gonna do, no, we can't get it from them, we're gonna raise all your property taxes to make up for what they're not paying. And the thing is, when did this start? Because my cousin, he heard something on Channel 5 a couple days ago. Have you guys approached this? Because they got troubleshooters and everything, and they go out there. When I call my state representative, it's just like talking to that wall. And you could talk to your blue in the face. So if we get these 600,000 signatures, I don't know Fireworks Display Company, we passed a law for this fireworks in the state of Ohio. You know they were going to pass it. 5 people were outside the voting room. They waited. You know what? They didn't come in. They would have passed it, but they didn't come in and vote. Okay, next year. So you have to put their feet to the fire. If they don't answer to anybody, you could send all these petitions and whatever. You know what? Yeah, we'll let them blow off steam, yeah, we'll listen to them. But you know what the end result is? It's still going to be the same. And what can we do to change it? You know what they say? Election time comes, vote for somebody else. It doesn't matter who we have, Republican president, a Democratic president, these people that are working 80 years in this, they're multi-millionaires. Why? They should have a reform where they get these older people out. Not that I'm against old people. Well, I know, but the thing is,
We gotta keep this moving. I mean, I understand what you're saying, okay, but what we're doing here, this
I know.
petition, it is gonna put it on the ballot, and the people will be able to decide.
so
You know,
how many do we
this
need
isn't-
now?
Pardon?
What do we have now? Because I heard 461, then I heard 600,000.
Well, we just started. We just
Okay.
started. So, you know, so we're gonna move forward here because we have a lot of other people here to ask questions, but thank you for your input, though.
Okay.
By the way, Steve Parma, this man seems like a pretty active and energetic man. I got a job for you. We're gonna be at Parma for the Rock and Rib. Talk to your neighbors, go to every single person in your neighborhood, tell them about it, because we're gonna have a petition signing there too. That's June 5th through 8th, I believe.
And 8.
I don't know who is next out there.
Okay, go ahead.
First question is here. When she says the question, can you repeat it so everyone can hear
Absolutely.
you?
Okay, so my question is, well, one of my kids in that home are living with us. They can sign as long as they're registered voters.
Absolutely.
Okay, and if this passes, do you think it's gonna go to court to fight it?
So the question is, kids live at home with me, can they vote? As long as they're registered, they certainly can. And as far as if this goes to court, I think somebody tried to do that, and I think they thought it was too much of a mess.
Well, that's why this is a constitutional amendment, okay, because that changes the dynamics of it, all right? We have the entire state making a decision on this. You can all hear me, right? Okay, I got a big mouth. Yeah, so with this being a constitutional amendment, the chances of their doing anything in court would pretty much be political suicide for them, okay? Because if we have a large majority of people that says, we're done with property taxes, any politician or anybody that has a problem with that, I pity them, okay? Because this right here is what's speaking, okay? We don't need some bureaucrat or some judge trying to step in and say, hey, we think this is wrong. Well, pal, it's not up to you. The people are deciding. So that's my answer to that.
So my last question, if, when I go out to petitions, if someone brings up the school issue, what would be my response? Like, people are gonna ask me, well, what about the schools that are on the property tax?
Okay, so we are not the ones that are controlling the money, right? All right? We hire and we elect these people to do that job. Well, this is the other part that we're asking people to do. You call your state reps and you tell them, not only do we want to get rid of property taxes, but it's time that you do your job and you balance this budget in a way that we can operate things effectively with the money you are getting after we get rid of property taxes. Okay, that's one part of it, okay? The other part is, we all know there's a lot of fattened pork that's being spent in our county and state governments, okay? We know it's there, they know it's there, and that's part of the reason why they don't want to get rid of property taxes, okay? Now, we could sit there, we really don't want to go down that rabbit hole per se right now, but those are just the parts of this that's going to resolve this issue when that time comes.
Next question?
We have a question about how much does the Ohio Lottery actually contribute to?
And we've got this question, we got a lot of questions about that yesterday. I will just tell you, it's in the millions. I don't know what their overhead is, in other words, what they pay, like the lottery show on TV that we all watch on Saturday night. For the tickets and the machines and all that. But I heard this on a radio show where a certain amount goes to the schools, and again, I don't know what the gross is on it, millions something, so what the net is, again, I'm not sure, but a certain percentage goes to the schools, but again, and I don't know if Bill said Doge, But that's something they could look into too, because the radio show said there was about 15 to 20% that was unaccounted for. So where did that go?
Advertising.
Who's responsible, who's accountable?
Billboards on 4E.
And I got one other thing I want to attach to that, about where the money's going, okay? Just last week, Mike DeVilla was on the radio talking about Medicaid in Ohio. And he was talking about how $6 billion has been fraudulently charged. And they cannot find out where it's gone. $6 billion. So this is just a taste of the nonsense that we're dealing with. When they say that we can't help seniors out, we can't help anybody out with property taxes, but yet $6 billion just got up and disappeared from the Medicaid budget. Okay, this is the kind of stuff we're dealing with when we talk to our state reps, and that's why it's so important to start, start calling them and say, hey, you know what? Time to start getting your numbers together, pal, because we're coming. Okay.
Next question. Let's keep it moving right here.
Thanks. So given the context that it was found unconstitutional in 1997, that's news to me because I'm pretty young, but is the proposal that we're going to get rid of property taxes overall? Because it sounds like that would be a valid proposal, given, and they should just come up with a new way to fund it because someone made up a way to fund it with property taxes.
Yeah, that's the goal.
Can you restate the
Yeah,
comments?
so his question again is going back to the school funding, but the bottom line is, so he's asking about you're talking about the 97 ruling, the Rolf?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's when it was, regarded as unconstitutional, but the bottom line is, I mean, if this Ohio Constitution requires the state to pay for schools, why aren't they doing all their jobs? So and everybody knows what happened with the governor back in 2013, where so we were paying a certain amount of property tax percentage-wise. That was a lot lower. I think it was like 48% back then. Now we're paying up to 66% because of the income taxes. So you know how they always say, well, if the politicians are bringing our property taxes down or our income taxes down, it counterbalances, so we're paying more for property tax. So that's another part of it. So Keith mentioned the 4 times it was ruled unconstitutional. They maybe to answer your question more fully, they fiddled with the funding formula so many times, and it's very difficult. When you have 600 plus school districts that all have their own little way of doing business and their levies, and I think somebody mentioned Walton Hills had a levy here in Parma.
Bond.
Or bond. And it's just, and some of those can go back 10 years, 20 years, and it just keeps piling on top, one over another. So to answer your question, it's not an easy question to answer because there's so much that goes into it. There's so much that we don't know.
We talk about DeWalt to my friend Evan here. I'm going to run first. Look at this guy. He make a great. Look at this guy. He make a great politician. What look at the face. He's got the face. He's got the height. I love this guy. Keep this kid in mind. Stan, look at that. Look at him go. Is this guy a good politician? Huh? Who would not vote for this kid? So on DeWalt. So it's always good to go a little further when we talk about DeWalt. So if you Google DeWalt, you're going to see that the crux of that lawsuit, and the 3 times afterward, was the school people in 97 felt as though the current system was not fair. And they filed the lawsuit because, for instance, big rich communities like Walton Hills, right, were paying more in property tax than Garfield Heights. And so the quality of schools was better in Walton Hills or Rocky River or Bay Village, right, than Garfield Heights. That was the reason they sued. So people understand that. I mean, you got to tell the truth about it. But the long and the short of it is that, I mean, they felt it was unfair then. And when you really look at it, it really still is. So a lot of the poorer districts, East Cleveland up the road here had a 65% increase. And they can't fund their schools with their property tax. So they have to go to the state, get more money, right? And that takes away from the pot for everybody else. So that funding mechanism still is not fair. One of the state reps that Kyle was talking about, we had a coffee and he told us there, there's 22 school districts in Southern Ohio, which I was not aware of, that have for quite some time funded their schools with a blend of income tax and property tax. So the state already allows you to levy an income tax in a community as opposed to a property tax. So if and when this all goes away, the state legislature has to step in and say, okay, all they really need to do is restructure the way people can fund schools and townships and everything else. So all they need to do is say, okay, so from now on, you can use an income tax, you can use a use tax, you can use a sales tax, or blend all those together, and then, but the state ultimately is going to have to keep funding their portion, okay? But, so the DeRolf thing, that's the crux of what that was. But, you know, so the state rep goes, well, you know, it was because of the unfairness, and we've done, you know, 920, all. It still was unconstitutional, and they told you to fix it, and you haven't. So that's it. Yes, go on.
How do states that don't charge tax like happens here in Ohio, how do they fund their public schools? And if this works the way we want it to work, what is the most likely way for the law to change, and how will they end up funding? Will they increase sales tax? Will they increase other taxes?
I mean, we don't know. You know, if you look at, I think it's New Jersey does entirely through sales tax. You know, Florida's looking to get rid of theirs, and I think they're going to be successful. We're hoping to beat them, but they're looking at a variety of ways too. So we don't have that answer, and we don't want to say we recommend one thing or the other. That's not good to do that. So the state has to figure this out. But you know, essentially, I mean, so for instance, I try to boil it down to my situation. So what I've always said is, first of all, whenever anybody asks me, and I think it's good to say, our group is not advocating defunding anything. We want people to understand that. We're not advocating defunding public schools. We're not, you know, we just want it funded so it's not attached to our house, right? And people get that. But like in my case, I live in Lakewood. So what my thought was, and I've told my people in the school board, when we get rid of property tax, the first thing I want to do is come and sit down with my school board and say, okay, let's work together on how we're going to fund this. But first, let's talk about how much do you really need. And you know, it's like a lot of people say, you know, we don't have a revenue problem, we have a spending problem. So to me, this eliminating totally is really going to have people start getting real about what do we really need. We don't need 14 administrators making $100,000 a year. We don't need, you know, when I grew up in Cleveland, right, we had one principal and the assistant principal with the squatters, right? That was it. I mean, big school, West Tech, right, Marshall? One. So my wife's cousin has been a janitor for years. We're talking in Eastern, he goes, do you know every Cleveland school now has 4 principals? Yeah, they have 4 principals. And then they all have administrators and assistants. So my 2 kids are teachers, and we get in this battle all the time. They haven't got any raises, and they're good teachers. They really are. They care. They put, you know, they haven't got a raise, but the administrative level, right? They're all getting raises and big money, and it's like, no, guys, let's take care of the teachers that are real, and let's just fund what we really need to run this. Yes, sir.
So it sounds like when you guys went to the state, you didn't say, I want to abolish it necessarily, but
No.
you gave some idea.
Yes.
So if we get the signatures and it goes on the ballot, what do you think that would look like for us to vote on?
Well, I mean, you're gonna vote, if we get this on the ballot, you're gonna vote on total abolishment of property tax on real property. Yeah, and yeah, I mean, the amendment that you see proposed there, this is why we had to go to the Attorney General first. He had to look at it and say, yeah, that makes sense. Well, not that he likes it, but yes, that makes sense. Then it went to the Ohio Ballot Board, and they had to approve that, yes, this is one issue, your language is fine, and then 2 weeks ago they released it back to us. But it's saying all real property. Now, you know, early on, we tried to carve out certain things. Like we said, okay, you know, we want to eliminate all our homeowners' property, but if you have a vacation house or something, that's eliminated. The state rep said you can't have carve-outs. Just like, from the beginning, we said, we want to eliminate property tax for 65 and over. They said, you can't do that. You can't carve out special groups. So that's why we said, okay, we gotta go for everything then, and start again. So if you vote on this, it's no property tax. And I tell you, people are like, this guy in the interview yesterday, oh, it's the rich people. No. There's a lot of people, I was the guy with North Homestead today that has a strip center in North Homestead, that his tax is like almost tripled. So what's he gonna do? Raise the rents for all these people? He's already got 6 vacancies in this thing now. So this isn't for the rich people that own property. The farmers are getting killed. The people that feed us are getting killed. So their kids are saying, hey, I'm done, let's sell it to the developers. And then they give them tax abatements to move in. No, we're gonna vote for total elimination. I mean, that's what this says.
So would that be a yes vote then in November?
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm assuming the ballot would be, if you want this vote, yes, but hopefully they don't confuse it, but you'll be the first to know, trust me. Yes, sir.
I think, this topic always comes up, you start looking for the line. Well, how are we gonna pay for the schools?
Right.
And throw that question back to the people, laser focused on the mission.
Right.
And that is, we wanna eliminate property taxes.
Right.
And then we tell them, you've had 28 years to
Right.
figure out how to fund the schools.
Right.
That's on you. We can't go down that rabbit hole where people feel obligated to answer their questions.
Right, you're exactly right, and that's the talking point. Don't get into the weeds on this. If you're circulating petitions, don't get into the argument of how we're gonna do it. Just say, they had 28 years to fix it, they didn't. It's their job to fix it.
What they'll do is get you into an argument. And
Right.
the next thing you know, you're going back and forth and they're finding reasons why you're right.
Exactly. They wanna get you into the weeds, yes. Don't go down that road. Yes, ma'am?
How many states have successfully accomplished this?
None yet.
We wanna be the first
We wanna be the
one.
first.
We wanna start it. We wanna start it. Like I said earlier, I had somebody from the state of Kentucky contact me about what we're doing right
Yeah,
now.
Michigan is doing the same thing we're doing right now. So it's on fire, but we would be the first.
So you said 97, this was in the Ohio Constitution, correct?
Ohio Supreme Court.
No, you said it was unconstitutional.
Yes, correct.
So somewhere in the state of Ohio's laws, this was never had before.
No.
So how did this come up, not in 97, but 3 other times, that who changed this? Was it to the people of the state of Ohio? Because if you have a law, only the legislatures can change this.
Right, or the people.
Well,
no.
it happened with the
And-
people because.
Well, no, and the unfortunate part is that for 4 times, and like the state Supreme Court says you gotta go back and fix it, they just ignored it.
Well, then the Supreme Court's not doing their job either.
What enforcement do they have? I get it,
Well,
I
it's just like
send out the troopers
talking.
no, I know, it's the same thing on a federal level. What do you do? So we gotta take it to the people. We'll enforce it. Trust me. Okay, one more, and I think we gotta wrap it up. Yes, sir.
Did you hear that a lot of the tax money that we just recently started paying for property taxes is just over to the city of Cleveland? My brother-in-law did some serious searching into that, because he lives in North Royalton, and his taxes went way up, and he called, and he made a bunch of calls, and they said that it's a lot, even collected for the metro parks. You think something's gonna happen to metro parks, it's strictly going to Cleveland.
Yeah, I even heard that.
Yeah,
I guess it wouldn't
I guess
surprise me,
you know.
but, and remember, guys, I mean, I know the Metro Parks is beloved sacred cow, right? And I didn't vote for it the first time ever. But here's the thing you gotta remember, when you go into the ballot box, if you actually could break down your property tax, there's probably 11 different levies in there. So every time you vote for the Metro Park, or you vote for, it's just, so let's make sure they're related. And Metro Parks have a huge carryover money too. So that's why I said, you know what, you got enough. You're not getting my vote this time. Well, thank you so much. We'll be here for a while. Just come on out and we'll chat.
Thank you again, everybody, for coming, and thank you for the group for coming and talking with us tonight. If you signed in and left me an email address, I am going to upload this meeting to YouTube. And when I send you a thank you, I'm going to put a link to that meeting so you can share it with other people. Thank you very much. Speak to the folks outside and be safe traveling home. Have a good night. Thank you very much. I don't find aspects of it that I missed, but
Saturday, you got, I'll be breakfast, lunch, and dinner, so.
Oh, good, because, yeah, somebody will tell you.
On Sunday, we do it, breakfast.
I'll do lunch.
Next week, so you know, Tuesday, we're going to the winery, we're gonna spend Tuesday night and Wednesday night, so we won't be back till Thursday evening, because we have babysit Thursday.
So I have to do Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Okay. So I was there yesterday when, she was talking to Aunt Marion Kaminsky. And she had her on speakerphone, so I could hear the conversation. And Aunt Marion says, well, I can't do a lot of times because I've got arthritis. Do you have arthritis? She goes, oh, no, I don't have arthritis. And she goes, you know, and I can only do a couple things during the day. And then I gotta take a nap. Do you take a nap? Oh, I never take a nap. I don't need a nap. I'm thinking liar. So I will be dressed back. Because when I walked in the other day, she had her underwear was sitting there full of shit. And she had the diaper thing was there, the Depends, and it was just like a baby diaper. So I booby trapped the bathroom because I don't think she's used the toilet. So I changed the roll and I put a piece of the top and it hadn't been used. So I asked her today, I said, are you wiping yourself after you go to the bathroom? Well, yeah, but I don't pee that much. And I went, well, the piece of toilet paper is still sitting there. Well, I get it from other places. So she knows I know. All right, so I have which days?
Or they can work with the state